218,000 views on a thread and over 5,000 comments, many reshares, many people all clamoring in to have an opinion, boosting this thread over the course of 3 days. Yes, I did this in 3 days. If you're curious, I have one word for you. Ecosystem. No, that is exactly one word. Education, connection, offer. Through this thread, which I can go back to at any time and add more to a conversation, I was able to funnel people in so that I was connecting with my target audience, as well as collaborators. This is part of my bigger ecosystem, which if you've been following me for a while, you already know. And if you haven't been following and haven't been paying attention, then let me just tell you that this ecosystem is revolutionary. It cuts out all of the censorship. It allows you to connect with your audience. It gives you all of the marketing data that you could ever ask for. And the best part is that you don't have to be present to keep the thread going. It will go viral all on its own. Using the combination of the ecosystem and the glass slipper method of attraction, you could end up attracting your ideal client effortlessly. You could also find out every single objection. You could see what the enemy is doing. And you can sit back, watch the fireworks go off, and while everybody else is attacking the headline, well, you just take that data, recognize what people are saying and the common themes, and create reports. Drop chapters of your book. Reference your programs. Drop those little hints, even your one link if you wanted to. And watch as everything that's meant for you comes to you. The beauty of this is that when you drop a perfectly crafted glass slipper, as I call it, what it does is you can keep going back to that comment even months later. In fact, I could go back into this viral thread that I'm going to show you a demonstration on in a minute, and I could just keep it going. I can find every single person that I want to connect with within this thread. Because, the thing is that when something incites somebody's, I don't want to say rage, because some people will defend you. But when you have an emotionally charged glass slipper dropped in as a comment on somebody else's content or on your own, it continues to bring more returns on your investment later on. Let me demonstrate this with the thread that went viral of the most hated kind of mother on the internet. You are looking at a viral thread, and as you can see, it has 218K views currently. Now, the thing about this is that when I first dropped it, I knew what I was doing. To the outside world, this looks like a mother who is out of control and her kid has dropped something on the floor. To the outside world, it also looks like I am attacking men. To the outside world, it looks like I am abdicating my role as mother and choosing, instead of cleaning up the flour, to go and take a shower. I said, let's normalize moms no longer putting up with any male of any age's crap. This was deliberately polarizing. I knew what I was doing. Other people may not realize it, but when you put out an intentional post where many people, as you can see, are attacking the headlines, this allows you to then follow up. So I put out this initial post and people started commenting. We're not going to get into all of the comments. First of all, I'm just going to say it. I'm a single mom currently to the outside world. There's no man currently residing in my home, and I'm raising a son. This already is deeply polarizing. I also don't play into mommy martyr or supermom culture. I am the sovereign mother. I'm writing a book called No More Mommy Martyr, The Path to Sovereign Motherhood. If you want to know more about that book, you can always reach out to me directly, or better yet, join my newsletter, because I put out pieces that come from the book as well as beyond the book inside of my deep dive newsletters. But for the purposes of this, I'm just going to show you what happened next. So people started attacking. Some moms were cheering me on. They said, good, it's about time that men and boys start cleaning up after themselves, and we don't need to keep putting up with that crap. They were applauding me. There were a lot of men, the kind of men that I don't want my son to become, who attacked me and said, I bet you're just another single mom and you don't have any man in the picture, and that's why your son is out of control. There were the wounded mothers, the ones that maybe aren't aware of how much of mommy martyr syndrome they've accumulated. There were also the super moms who thought that they understood what was going on and had all that parenting advice. There were also a lot of well-meaning dads that thought they understood what was going on. Be aware that I only put 3 lines of text. There's no subtext yet. And yet everybody is still attacking the headline. That is where they were attacking the most. 218K views on that. Now I did a follow-up. Watch how it went down from 218K views to 10.3K views. So most people were still only reading the headline and they were not reading the context. Follow-up. No, I did not clean up the mess and let him get away with it. He cleaned it up himself, admitted it was a dumb move, apologized, and said he'd do better next time. Already showing that even though my son might have done something stupid, which, by the way, he wasn't doing in a tantrum way. He was more laughing hysterically and thinking that he was going to get one over on me. I mean, he's 12. He does that. And we had a good laugh about it. And he's not going to do it again. And not only that, but he understood the assignment better than a lot of people that attacked me in these threads. I also said, no, I don't hate men. I also don't treat my son as any less for being a man. You can read the follow-up thread or the document I am now posting here, because people keep assuming, attacking, and yeah, that's fun if you want to just be mean. But actually, there is a reason I worded things the way I did. Now, the thing is that, again, I went from 218K views to 10,000.3K views on this follow-up. So already I filtered the people that would rather just attack versus the ones still reading. The next part, follow up again. 9.3K views. I have their attention. While I have their attention, I've now done the first, let's address the 12-year-old tantrum. My son made a choice. He entered that choice thinking he would somehow shake my calm. I had been doing of not giving in to every little way to throw a tantrum. And I also pointed out that there are many in this thread who have commented, actually, it's incredible how my son has picked up the mainstream narratives and then thought he could use that the same way that others do, that works on their moms, but not this one. Already hinting to the moms who may have boys around the same age as my son that, yes, things are going to be difficult because boys are getting these outside messages, especially at the age of 12, when there's a differentiation that happens with children, where they are no longer looking to their parents for the guidance. They're looking more at their peers, and they are no longer following the guidance of the adults and the later generations. They are paving their own path. This is evolutionary. It needs to happen. But when boys and girls are not being able to be sovereign and instead are only absorbing the messages of their peers, but they also have opposition with their parents, this is when there's a problem. I've raised my kids to be sovereign, to be able to be individual thinkers. I allow them to challenge me on my views because I know that they are entering a new world that I will not be seeing to the end. They will. So the second part, let's address the second part. The men say women are emotional and normalize not putting up crap for men. I knew this would trigger people in many different ways. I knew all the ways, and all the comments have been shown very, very clearly. This is what happens when a mother doesn't play the game the way she's supposed to. The game doesn't work, by the way. It's rigged. And that is why it's so frustrating and why I chose to share the very thing that would expose it. So as you can see, now I have gotten my audience. There's 9.3K views, and there's going to be people now, mothers in particular, who are going to get curious. In fact, I now have 7.2K views for the person who is still reading this and not the insanity of the comments. Good. That means you didn't come here to just do more of the same, but are now wondering, how did she manage to walk away from that mess, take a shower, and her son cleaned up without any threats or force when he was pushing back and giving attitude only 20 minutes before, and then apologized, admitted he was out of line, all without me even having to tell him off for it after my shower. This was a very peaceful resolution. My son actually decided to clean up on his own while I was in the shower. My son apologized. My son admitted that he had been out of line. My son also admitted that he'd been overwhelmed. We had a really good resolution to this. This wasn't an ongoing fight. And that is where I dropped something. Because while everybody else was attacking the headline, I went out and I wrote a report. And so this is part of the ecosystem, is you create your polarizing post that gets people attacking the headline. And some people will start reading. As you see, the dwindling of the attacks, because people are starting to see 7.2K views from 218. Now you have filtered out, and everybody else is still attacking the headline. Remember that. They're still attacking the headline. You can boost this at any time and keep going just by commenting on your already viral thread. Now, the one who read past, we've now got 6.3K views. So they did get to this report. Now, currently the way I have it set up is it's just a Google Drive. Eventually, what I would like to do is have a specific website where they could download these directly. But that takes a lot more money and it takes more investment and it takes a lot more time to build this. This is still 1.0, okay? So eventually you would have a CRM that would track how many people actually downloaded this easily downloadable file without putting their name and email in. The second you try to put something as a gatekeep, what usually happens is people lose interest immediately. They don't yet invest to the point where they're going to get on your list. And if you've been following me from my other masterclass that I did on the ecosystem, you don't want everybody on your list. You don't want these 6.3K viewers all downloading your resource. They're not ready yet. You need a litmus test. So that is what's being deliberately ignored by many, many angry people who assume they know, but are really not seeing it clearly. And they likely did not read this far because they're too busy trying to tear me down. But that boosts the visibility. So you want to know how to break the cycle and not follow the advice of people who are dropping their masks and showing the wound? It's right here. You click it, and there it is. The Sovereign Mother's Map to Raising Boys that won't consciously or unconsciously perpetuate patriarchy. If you would like access to this actual guide, it is inside of my ecosystem. It is one of the leading pieces that I have within No More Mommy Martyr. It will be a book bonus, which means that it will be available within my Empowered Mom Toolkit. You can also just reach out to me directly, send me a message. hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com if you are not in connection with me through DMs, but I am available on social media. I'll just drop this article for you. I mean, I wrote it up while people were arguing on the thread. Now, the thing about this is that it is quite long. It's another litmus test, okay? So you get all the way down, and it's about 12 pages. But it does answer the question. The thing about these is that I reference. I tell them that they can go deeper. This one didn't have an email yet, but that doesn't mean it's not coming. I also referenced my book, No More Mommy Martyr. So I'm doing multiple things with this. I'm using it as a tool that gives them what they want, gives them the answers and information. Information is free. I charge for access to me. So 6.3K viewers saw that. Now, I also tell them what's in the report because not everybody is going to click the link, even though it's free. I know this. I understand the psychology. So 5.6K viewers already saw this part where I tell them in this report, I addressed the blame the mother rhetoric. I addressed why punishment doesn't work, why suppressing the tantrum isn't actually helpful long-term, why emotional regulation of boys is easy in theory, but then this is the pushback side of the lessons that they need to learn that people don't tell you, and then they say you did it wrong. And the way men are missing it, and moms who are in the previous generations also missed it, and why there is, in fact, a method to my madness. Then I've got this, telling them what they're getting into. 5.3K views still. It's 11 pages long. Anyone who just wants to argue will roll their eyes and refuse to read it. That's to be expected. And if you want the map, I laid it out. The reason why, and also people who get triggered tend to just keep raging without diving any deeper. It's particularly a trend to go after mothers who don't play by the rules and who speak against patriarchy. And each and every comment, whatever it is, boosts visibility of the post. This is the power of the ecosystem. This is the power of the glass slipper. Now, we're going into the next day here. We're going into the next day. Remember, this was over 3 days. I added another layer. See, you can add to your comments. You don't have to comment on every individual person who attacks. And at the same time, you will want to engage with some of them because it also shows another layer. I'm not going to get into that in this particular video, but if you do want to understand further, you can always reach out to me, hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com. I'm happy to show you how I run my ecosystem. So we're adding another layer here. I'm no longer going to ignore this. The comments of this thread are exposing wounds, deep wounds, wounds you don't want to look at, and also wounds others refuse to look at. The report is a deeper uncovering of those wounds. Now, when confronted with these wounds, people naturally attack. They don't like the wound being poked at, and I get that. Some wounded are very hostile. Others, there may be some ways to turn it around. But yes, the trigger was deliberate. Now, full disclosure, people were really, really attacking me. They were also suggesting that my son needed to be beaten, to be smacked, to be hit, to be punished, to be taken away from all of his privileges. Like, there were some really harsh people that were in this thread. They were saying awful things about my son. I would not allow my son to read the comments. As you can see, I've got 808 views on this one, still filtering out those people who would like to attack. But earlier, I already dropped the report. Now, this is where some marketing people might understand this, because I'm also marketing at the same time. I've now turned this polarizing comment, where it looks like a mom was just bitching on the internet, into a funnel, a content funnel and filtration system within my greater ecosystem. I got a lot of follows from this polarizing post. I got a lot of comments from this polarizing post, many from women that I then started to follow. Now, I also got some comments from some dads that were in the business space, and I'd look at their profiles and I'd see, oh, I can have a conversation with this person and I can turn it around. Now, we go further. 722 views for this point. The trigger was intentionally polarizing in the way that it needed to be polarizing. There is truth inside it, and also people are interpreting that truth differently, depending on which side of the dichotomy they are on. Right now, this thread is an absolute hornet's nest. I'm okay with that. I understand that too. Many are afraid to get stung, but I am not. Many are watching. Not all are commenting. The trigger tends to draw out the wounded, and the wounded attack. Now I'm going into the deeper psychology. So now, for the people who are still attacking the headline, remember, 218K views, people still attacking the headline, not all of them reading. 680 views in this point. I have leading with love and holding the line. I've got my report. Do you want to understand my son's wound? It was made by his father and by me. See, I took some accountability when I didn't see what his father was doing initially. And I have owned those times that I contributed to the wound. However, I will not allow any more wounding to happen, nor will I forever be blamed for the wound every time it's triggered. I won't be blamed for any wounding that happened. It's not me. I know when I wound to hurt versus trigger to heal. 680 views. Still, people are viewing. Some are liking it. Not all, but some. I am now explaining, even outside of the report, you can do this. You want to do this because it will get people to see that they're getting a surface level summary of what's in the report. It may trigger them to actually go get it. 623 views at this point. When my son pushed back, it was for many reasons having to do with the wound he knew was about to be inflicted deeper if he had the emotional release of frustration around his dad. He knows that path. Many men in the comments already showed that path, and they have attacked me. And I get it. My son has to suppress his emotions when he's with his dad, so they all spill out at home. It happens either before he goes or after, and even days leading up to the visit. 623 views on that one. 546 views following up. I knew this wound would flare up, so I'm showing that I understood it. I prepared for it to flare up. The way it manifested this time, when you look at it without anger, is actually amusing. And yes, the fact that he acted out his behavior is not being seen as his wounding. It's being used as a way to attack me as his mother because people don't see unless they understand the fringe movement of gentle parenting, which is made harder when men don't heal and don't see the wound. Some fathers healed, not enough yet. Still, I've got 546 people reading that. 477 views, 3 likes, 1 comment. The comment is mine, of course, to follow up, but still. They can if they stop blaming mothers, if they stop assuming they know the solution and start listening to the mothers who are doing it alone, by choice, and particularly the mothers who are still choosing to gentle parent their boys and are seeing that the outside influences of other men and moms, not gentle parenting, are just adding more challenges. So stop attacking the mirror, start digging deeper. I trigger, then I teach those who are able to look past the trigger. This is part of the ecosystem. And in this vein of gentle parenting, it is very fringe. We still have a lot of parents who still think that punishment works. We still have a lot of parents who haven't made the connection yet between the punishment and external locus of control that has been going on for generations, even in the sense of, well, we won't hit the kids anymore, but we will punish them, versus those who are doing peaceful parenting. Now, peaceful parenting, you need to understand, kids are going to push back, but we have had generations of parents that are not used to that pushback. So they will then tell you on the outside that you're doing something wrong. And without those supports in place, because remember, gentle parenting is fringe, and it only started coming out in the last 10 to 12 years. In fact, it wasn't even fully fleshed out when my son was a baby. When you understand that and understand the deep psychology of it, then you recognize that when parents don't know about this side of pushback that they're going to get from their tween or their preteen or their teenager, and they don't understand the developmental ways that kids are going to push back or they're going to just rebel covertly. When you don't understand that, then that's when you start to move back to punitive methods of doing things. And this is where the moms often get blamed, especially those who are single moms. They are the ones that are at risk the most. And so I used this thread as a way of teaching because I said to stop attacking the mirror. Now, we go further. From 477 views to 443 views. So I've still got their attention. The report is free to download. I can go deeper than what's in the report. I'm happy to answer questions. I'm happy to teach in this space. I won't keep engaging if the energy continues to be hostile, though. This is deep shadow work, and I teach it through story to make it easier, but it still triggers, and I will be upfront about that. It's not for everyone right away. I have lower levels too, and I can teach at those levels. However, it's not where the deep transformation is at. And then finally, the last piece, acknowledging that not everybody is going to be ready for this report. Not everyone is ready for this report. Not everyone is ready for the surface level of threads. The healing and seeing will take time. It takes its time for different people. I'm okay with that too. At the same time, when you're ready to look, it's there. Information is free. I charge for direct access to me, and not everyone is ready for me. I won't drag anyone into my deeper layers. I will invite, I will gently guide, but it must be chosen freely and no attacking, only learning. So, as you can see, I have 365 views now. I have dropped a report. I have also, later on in the thread, invited people to get on my newsletter. I may add an added piece because remember from what I showed about the ecosystem and how we have an ever evolving resource and you can update your report and just drop it back into the drive and it automatically updates for everyone. You don't have to send out a new email because they just go in and they can get that report and download it right back anytime they need to. They always have access to the most cutting edge version of your stuff. And as you can see from this thread, I really, really went viral in 3 days by posting the perfect glass slipper that attracted everyone into my little web in my ecosystem. And I can keep this going. I can add to this thread. I can create other threads. You can do this too. It's very simple. All you have to do is know your two dichotomies that you're always fighting against. You know all of the ways that your ideal client has been gaslit, has been told that they're wrong, that they're the problem. And you expose those wounds in a perfectly crafted thread, and you remain sovereign. And while everybody else is attacking the headlines, you're crafting reports, writing your book, adding chapters to your book, creating videos, doing your marketing research, all from a simple thread. And you can put out multiple of these at any time. So there you have it, the perfectly crafted glass slipper ecosystem that will attract your ideal client, attract your collaborators, attract all of those people that are going to attack the headlines and boost your virality for you without you having to do anything. You get to build on your product. You get to create your perfectly crafted reports. You don't have to worry about people joining your list right away. You'll filter out the right people to join you. And you can also create those conversations in other threads. You can have conversations and use teaching examples within your threads. People will love to read those comments. After all, there's popcorn involved in those comments. But you remain sovereign, you remain grounded, and you do everything with intention. You're probably wondering now, how do you do this? How have I been able to craft these perfect glass slippers? Well, as you know, I have 3 paths. You can do the do-it-yourself path, which you can go and piece together the content from my other videos where I've talked about the glass slipper method. You can also join my newsletter, which is easy to access. You just go to empoweringmomsbirth.com/newsletter, and that will get you on the list. And then you can hit reply to any emails that come through if you would like to go deeper on one of my topics. The other option is self-study. Currently, as of this recording of this video, I don't have any self-study programs created yet. It's mostly just pieced together through my content. So you can go through the playlists on my YouTube channel, Carly Bondard Uncensored, and you can find out all of those pieces. You need to be able to get past your fear. You need to understand the 4 sources of fear. You need to understand about the categories of resistance in people. You also need to understand about my 5 pillars because it's all in there. Creating the right environment. I created a rich soil and I planted a seed. And I knew exactly what I was doing and how I was going to water that seed. And that is how I was able to go viral within 3 days. You also need to understand a little bit about marketing, which again, I teach inside of my masterclasses. I also teach this inside of my little deeper dive programs when I run them. And I am in connection with some very powerful people. Donald Stojak is one, Eben Pagan is another, and Annie Lala has also helped me craft these perfect ecosystem marketing gold mines with the glass slipper method. So one thing is that if you're going to understand somebody's system, you also want to understand their mentors. So if you would like to know more about any of my mentors of who I'm in connection with, and I did just drop 3 names, I have more that I've learned from over the years, then again, you can reach out to me, hello@empoweringmomsbirth.com. I'm always happy to talk about my ecosystem, and it's continued to evolve. This is something that I feel is going to be a game changer for mompreneurs in particular, but it could really work to help everyone. And it would allow you to avoid the death of 1,000 cuts that happens as you're trying to grow and scale your brand and your business without losing the heart of the message. Because when we outsource things, this is when those cuts start to happen. That's when we start cannibalizing our market, and we don't realize it until we get bigger problems. I've mapped these things and I've intentionally built my business from the ground up. And I've built my ecosystem into every single layer of what I'm doing. I have Empowered Birth, which is where I started, and I've created that perfect ecosystem already with the 3 paths to Empowered Birth. But I don't yet have it refined for the mompreneur side of things, and that is where premium coaching comes in. I also do $97 consults. It's about 15 minutes. You need to also show me that you've done a substantial amount of work to be able to get on these calls, because I'm going to be laser focused on your business and laser focused on you to see how we can craft a glass slipper for your unique audience and what you need for your dichotomies, especially since if mompreneurs are out there, we have 2 very big dichotomies that we're always fighting against: mommy martyr syndrome and supermom syndrome. I'm currently addressing that inside of my work in progress book, No More Mommy Martyr, The Path to Sovereign Motherhood, which is basically your roadmap to be able to do what I have done, which is have both at the same time. Not in the way that society has basically said to have both, but what your success blueprint looks like for you. So if you would like to know more about that, or you think anybody else could benefit, please pay it forward, pass this on, and you know what to do. My love language is bug me. So if you would like to get on my newsletter, it's empoweringmomsbirth.com/newsletter. That will give you access to the toolkit and access to the report that I just mentioned, where it's the leading with love, the path to sovereign motherhood, and teaching your boys different way. I have that. I have other things as well. I have the excerpts of my book in progress because information is free and I charge for access to me. So thank you so much. This has just been a very brief discussion. I will probably turn this into a training in the future, or maybe I'll just leave this as it is. But if you found value in it, you know what to do. Pay it forward. Like, share, subscribe, pass this on to others, because a drop in the ocean creates ripples. Many ripples create waves, and enough waves can change the tide. And here at Empowering Moms, I'm all about changing the tide. So have a happy, empowered birth journey, whether you're birthing a baby, birthing a business or a creative project, a movement, an impact, or rebirthing a new version of yourself. Let Empowering Moms be your guide. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Namaste.